And welcome back. Home sold prices in California just fell by 7.8% year over year. This is actually the biggest yearly decrease going back to October of 2011. On top of that, closed home sales fell by 36.1% compared to April of 2022. This is all based on a brand new report from the California Association of Realtors, and in today's video, I'm going to share it. So I'll discuss in today's video regarding home prices, home sales, housing inventory, price reductions, and much more in the California housing market. And before we get started, if you guys are looking for a real estate agent referral, whether you're looking to buy or sell a house in California or anywhere across the United States, then check out that link below, which is homeandmoney.com/Jason to get started today. And with that said, let's begin today's video. This is part one of my three-part video series I make every single month regarding the California housing market. So in today's video, I'm going to touch on a broad overview about what's happening right now in California. Part two will be an analysis regarding home prices in statewide, but also by each of the major counties as well. And also part three is a more in-depth analysis regarding price trends and home sale trends for each of the counties as well. So let's first talk about the state as a whole, what the California Association of Realtors reported for the month of April. So closed home sales, this is, by the way, seasonally adjusted and annualized, approximately 268,000. That's a decrease of 36.1% compared to April of 2022. Also, home prices, again, stay tuned for part two. I'll probably post that video in a couple of days regarding home price changes from years past here. So right now, the median sold price for single-family detached houses in California is just over $815,000. That's a decrease of 7.8% compared to April of 2022. Also not mentioned in this report, but also based on my own analysis of their data here, this is actually the biggest yearly decrease going back to October of 2011. However, having said that, home prices are still up by about 9% year to date, even though they're down by 7.8% compared to 12 months ago. Meanwhile, the unsold inventory index, or the month supply, is at 2.5 months, an increase of 38.9% year over year. Also, days in the market has been surging, but still at relatively low levels. It's taken approximately 20 days to sell a house in California. That's an increase of 150.0% year over year. All right, let's have a look at closed home sales and some analysis regarding that right now. So for the state of California right now, again, down by 36.1% in the number of closed home sales, but this right here is entirely abnormal, a decrease of 4.7% compared to March of this year. We tend to see an increase of home sales, I wouldn't say every single April, but that's entirely normal to see increases in home sales in the spring home buying season. So entirely abnormal to see a decrease down by 4.7% compared to March. And just having said that, we're still at very low levels right now. We saw a huge fallout in home sales last year, which was remarkable. And also right now, the current levels at around 267,000. When looking at pre-pandemic levels, we're really at the lowest levels going back to approximately 2008. And like the Realtors Association announced right here, home sales dipped to the lowest levels in 3 months, entirely abnormal for the month of April. Here's also something unusual as well, because closed home sales are down by more than 20% out of all these price segments here. The biggest decrease is actually in the luxury market for houses that sold for over $2 million this April. We saw a decrease in home sales down 54% compared to April 2022. Also for houses that sold in the range of $1 million to $2 million, it's down by 44%. Now here's an interesting trend that has been occurring over the past couple months as well, because we're seeing a lack of luxury home sales, yet we're seeing a significant increase in the more affordable market here. Because houses that sold for $0, I don't know any house that sold for $0, but if you guys got a house for free, let me know. But houses that sold for less than $500,000, the share of houses that sold this April, that was 27%. So 27% of all closed home sales in April came from houses that sold for $0 to $499,000. In contrast, we're seeing just the opposite for houses that sold for over $1 million, because the share this year was 30%. Last year, it was actually 35%. Regarding pending home sales, which by the way, this analysis here in today's video is based on existing houses, not new home construction. And of course, it's only including single family detached houses only. So pending home sales, which of course is a measure of contracts being signed between buyers and sellers, is down by 26.2% year over year. A slight improvement compared to late 2022, but still down greatly compared to last year's levels. Regarding pending home sales, this is also a very interesting and dynamic as well, because out of all the contracts signed right now this April, which will become closed home sales in May likely, we're seeing an increase in the luxury market because pending home sales increased the most for houses over $2 million, an increase of 17.7% compared to March of this year. Also an increase of 12% for houses in the range of $1 million to $2 million. In contrast, for home prices in the range of $400,000 to $499,000, pending home sales increased by 8.7%, whereas in the range of $300,000 to $399,000, a decrease of 5.8%. So an interesting dynamic right now because closed home sales are down greatly year over year in the luxury housing market. However, when looking at month over month changes regarding pending home sales, we're seeing a surge in the luxury market. And this will likely lead to more closed home sales for the month of May regarding luxury home sales. And of course, stay tuned. I'll make that video in about a month from now. Let's also talk a little bit more regarding home prices in California, because on a month over month basis, home prices increased by 3%, even though they're down by 7.8% compared to April of 2022. But at $815,000, this is actually the first time that prices increased over $800,000 in 6 months. So some pretty interesting dynamics here because home prices increased by 3% compared to last month, but are still down compared to 1 year ago. Regarding price per square foot, for April, that was $395 is the price per square foot, a small increase compared to March, but a giant decrease compared to 1 year ago, down by 8.8%. Also, the sale price to final list price ratio is at 100% this April, meaning on average this April for houses that's closed, escrow, houses on average sold for the asking price of the seller here. So houses on average selling for the asking price, and that's an increase of 0.9% from last month, but still down 4.2% from last year's levels. Also, this is quite the improvement from just a few months ago because on average, houses were selling for below the seller's asking price for quite some time. But having said that, we're still well below the peak, which was set around 104%, meaning houses on average selling for about 4% over back in the spring months of 2022. The California Association of Realtors also reported that approximately 42.3% of houses that sold this April sold above the seller's final asking price. This has been increasing for 3 consecutive months because just about 4 months ago, the share was around 20%. But at 42.3% right now, this is still well below last year's levels at 72.8%. Also on a side note, in contrast, at 42.3% selling over the seller's asking price, this means, of course, that approximately 58% are selling at or below the seller's asking price. Now, here's another really interesting dynamic happening right now because even though home prices have fallen by 7.8% from 12 months ago, your average monthly housing payment is still up by 6.9%. And the reason why your average monthly housing payment has still increased compared to 1 year ago, even though prices are down by about 8%, is this right here. Because 1 year ago, the average 30-year fix was at 4.98%. But for the month of April this year, it increased to 6.34%. So in other words, because rates surged over the past 12 months, This is causing your average monthly housing payment to still be higher compared to 1 year ago, despite the fact that prices are down. In regards to housing inventory, take a look at this, because the month supply right now is at 2.5 months. 1 year ago, it was 1.8 months. Kind of funny, look at 2007, 2008, when the months of inventory was around 14 to 16 months. I was going to say weeks because that's an insanely high number, but this is well below, or actually the current levels right now at 2.5 months is still well below the levels we had back in 2007 and 2008. Here's also a look at the number of houses for sale going back to 2018. So this April, I really wish they'd provide the actual numbers here, but this April, it's comparable to last April as well as April 2021, approximately 20,000 houses for sale. When looking at pre-pandemic levels though, back in April 2019 and 2018, there was around 50,000 houses for sale. Therefore, right now, we have approximately 50% fewer houses for sale compared to pre-pandemic levels. Another way to look at this is this right here. This is the year-over-year change in the number of houses for sale in California. Look at this, the first decrease since February of 2022. I reported month over month here how we had a giant surge in the number of houses for sale each and every month, going back to what I guess would be March 2022. And right here, we had a surge of over 60%. But more recently, though, inventory has been absolutely falling off a map here. And now it's in negative territory the first time since February of 2022. And this, of course, is a big issue if you're looking to buy a house in California, because we have a lack of houses for sale, which is causing home prices to increase, sadly here. But the reason for that really here is right here, because we have a lack of new listings hitting the market. So new listings fell by 30.1% compared to 12 months ago, roughly even to the decrease we saw last month. And on top of that, for 10 consecutive months now, we've been seeing decreases of new listings on a year-over-year basis. Another way to look at this is this right here. So for the month of April, approximately 16,569 new listings. 1 year ago, there was just under 24,000. That's a decrease again of 30.1%. However, though, when looking at April of 2018, actually I think this is, April 2019, I should say. April 2019, there's just under 31,000 houses for sale. This means that's a decrease of 46% since April 2019. So to briefly recap here, we're seeing a lack of new listings, again, down by 30% from last year, and also down by 46% compared to pre-COVID levels. And that's why right here, we're seeing a lack of houses for sale, down 8.6% compared to 12 months ago. Let's also talk about how fast or how slow houses are selling statewide here. So days in the market's at 20 days this April. 12 months ago, it was 11 days. This means it's taking nearly twice as long to sell a house compared to 1 year ago. And lastly, the share of price drops is at 27.8% statewide right now. This is a very big change though, because back in late 2022, the share was around 45%. Now it has decreased to about 27.8%. And with that said, please comment below your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, check out that link below if you guys want a real estate agent referral. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.